Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Tuesday, May 28th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Akron game in 95 days, the game against Michigan in 186 days. Today's show is a continuation of the one we ran last Friday with Matt Sarz of MattSarzSports.com, talking about TV and college football, understanding the new TV deals, understanding all the stuff that's changing this year, conferences changing, TV deals changing, college football playoff changing, the college football playoff TV deal got a new wrinkle last week. There is a ton to talk about. So we're going to continue our conversation with him, talking about some of the big picture stuff, dealing with ESPN and Fox, and is one of them going after the other's turf, and also the new sublicensing deal, TNT trying to sublicense the college football playoff from ESPN. What does that mean? Does the NFL schedule have anything to do with that? You're going to get all of that here in part two of my conversation with Matt Sarz of MattSarzSports.com. So let's talk again a little bit about just some bigger picture stuff now. That was pretty nitty gritty on Ohio State stuff. I want to talk a little big picture because you mentioned earlier Fox may not have their game at noon week one, and that's because ESPN has already announced the Clemson-Georgia game is going to be played at noon on the Saturday of week one. So that to me feels like Fox has figured out this great thing with Big Noon Saturday, and they've kind of owned that noon window for several years. Maybe now ESPN's going after that a little bit. And now, you mentioned earlier as well, Fox announced their first season of Friday night games, a full season of Friday night games, no Ohio State or Michigan, but it seems like they may be trying to plant a flag there. Is that how you see that ESPN may be trying to make a little run at Fox's monopoly at noon, and Fox maybe trying to plant a flag on Fridays?
I see them more planting the flag on Fridays, Fox. With respect to Georgia and Clemson, I think this is a particular side effect of ABC and ESPN now having those full rights to the SEC. They have that full schedule that they can look at. They don't have to put Notre Dame at Texas A&M on ESPN or Miami at Florida less with Georgia Clemson being that's technically a neutral site game being played in Atlanta. But at least with the latter two, those would never have been a choice for ABC in prior seasons. With respect to noon, I think what may end up happening, and I had this game originally as my 4 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. game on Fox in week one. I think you will see, because Fox has the top choice in the Big 12 this year. With everything that happened where Texas and Oklahoma were allowed to be moved over to the SEC, and they flipped the locations of the Michigan and Texas series so that Michigan hosts this year. West Virginia at Penn State is probably your best available, let me flip those locations. Penn State at West Virginia is your best available Big 12 game, probably over the course of the season, in terms of ratings. So I think that might end up being the week one big noon game. And you may still, just like last season, the Big 12 might occupy one or two 12 o'clock windows when Fox doesn't really have a good Big 10 choice. So there may be a handful of cases like that. I think they'll be pretty rare, but I think week one is kind of that exception where they look at it. This is a pretty good game. We do get a Big 10 team, in Penn State, so we can still kind of market it that way. And in the end, we get Fox. This is their final chance to have the top Big 12 selection as those rights change over next year, where ESPN's the primary rights holder. So might as well go get this one while we can. I think that's what Fox is looking at.
So all of that stuff has all happened in the last couple weeks, maybe month or so. That's all been stuff that's come out. And then earlier this week, another big piece of TV news that I wanted to ask you about, college football playoff TV news. ESPN had the rights to that, and they bought all the rights, but they said, hey, we may sublicense some of that to someone at some point. And it came out this week that they're sublicensing it to TNT. Now, what do you know about that deal, how those telecasts may go? I mean, people are wondering who's going to be announcing those games. Is they going to have Charles Barkley announcing those games? How big of a factor is it that, those games, that first round games, on that Saturday, the NFL has put a couple pretty big games up against those. The NFL is playing on that Saturday as well, Chiefs Texans. So this is not, Jaguars and Jets or something. This is Chiefs Texans. How big of a role did that play in, maybe the sublicensing deal, or maybe who was able to bid on the sublicensing deal?
I think it may have played a part. Yes, indeed, because when you look at it, looking at the NFL side, the two games that are on that Saturday, one on NBC, one on Fox, those four teams are also the same four teams that are going to make up the two Christmas Day games that are on Netflix. So they had to, because the NFL decided to play on Christmas to make that work, to give those teams enough rest. They had to play on the 21st, and it's the same four teams, just rearranged in a different order. That said, I think ESPN probably got a heads up, that this is coming down the pipe, and went with TNT as their sub-licensed partner. I've read a few different things that ESPN will be heavily involved in the production of these games, so it might be their talent. I don't know if it's going to be their graphics. It sounds like TNT might be able to do some things around these, at least in 2024 and 2025, first-round games. They'll have two quarterfinal games starting in 2026 as well. That said, I think, to me, it would make sense from a scheduling standpoint if I was ESPN. The two NFL games on the 21st, I believe, are at 1 and 4:15. Give those games to TNT. At that point, you're not competing with the NFL. You can let them have it. You can let those games go over there. They can sink or swim with whatever ratings those games are from a business standpoint. And then ESPN has a Friday night first-round game and a Saturday night first-round game then. And those can be pretty exclusive to them to be able to drive whatever ratings that and make whatever advertising dollars they can to defray the cost of the rights that they paid. Also, ESPN still, I believe, is going to be in the market to show bowl games that they own, that typically are, third place MAC team or usually group of 5 teams. And because they still own these bowls, ship the big games to TNT. Let us air our mostly minor bowl games on the 21st. Nobody's hurt whether they're aired or not. People will seek those out if they want to seek those out. And then let the NFL do its thing on the 21st. So beyond that, I think TNT is going to get those first two. In future years, with it again being one Friday and I believe 3 Saturday games each year, I think they'll figure out a regular cadence. And the same thing with the two quarterfinal games that TNT will get in the future. Those might be afternoon games as well, because if the Rose Bowl is one of those quarterfinals, I don't see ESPN giving that up to TNT. And same thing maybe with, if the Sugar Bowl's the night game. Same thing there. They may say, go ahead, take the peach or take the cotton and take the, Fiesta. Take those two in the morning, and we'll step aside till, the Granddaddy and the Sugar Bowl show up in the evening. So that's kind of where I look at it. These folks have their business cases and their ratings numbers and projections all behind, for years, that they know what is best for them. That's just my conjecture on it.
Well, that's much more further, a little further in the future, but man, a lot of stuff to think about and to talk about there. A little shorter term, we already know Fox or ESPN's plans for week 1 and some of the early season games. When do you think we're going to get maybe the rest of those early week 1, week 2 kind of game lineups out from Fox and some of the other broadcasters? Is that coming in the next few days? Is that coming in the next month? When do you think, Ohio State Akron, when are Ohio State fans going to know what time the Akron game's kicking off and what channel it's going to be on?
From releases that I saw from both ESPN and Fox, look for those games next Thursday. Probably mid-afternoon, maybe a little bit earlier. I think CBS, now that they are more attached at the hip with the Big Ten, unlike what they used to do with the SEC, where they kind of went and did their own thing maybe a day or two in advance of everybody, I think they'll also wait. So if CBS is choosing one of the early, well, yeah, they could choose a game on like the 7th, for example, or even week 1. They'll probably go ahead and wait till the 30th as well. I think that's when you'll see everything pop up. Should also mention, too, that there was something from Big Ten, I believe he's an associate commissioner, Kerry Kenny, who works in the, is like a television liaison for the conference. He did mention as well that there are still Friday night games to be announced. It probably won't be on Fox. They'll probably be on Big Ten Network and FS1, but those probably will show up. Oh, and also on Black Friday. So CBS has one, NBC will have one as well. Those will show up on the 30th as well.
All right, so lots of stuff to look forward to starting maybe next Thursday or so, the 30th. Going to have more information about the start of the season, and man, there is just so much to think about, so much to talk about, and so many enormous games involving Ohio State this year. Don't worry, they will be on TV somewhere. You will be able to watch them. Matt, I guess before I let you go, let people know at SarzSports.com. Explain a little bit about what you do there, and you go through and you make predictions about where stuff which games are going to be where and when, and let people know kind of what they can find there at MattSarzSports.com.
Sure. So at MattSarzSports.com, since about 2005, I've been tracking telecast windows and television decisions that get made for Division I, FBS, and FCS college football. That includes your streaming areas now like Peacock, ESPN Plus, other networks, smaller ones like Flow Sports that handle the FCS area. So I track things there, and there's mattsarzsport.blogspot.com because I haven't really decided to go and get a nice WordPress site. That's typically where I'll do some analysis around weekly picks for television. I'll try to have something out usually on Sunday mornings, about a day in advance of when television decisions are being made. I'll say also with 2024 being very different with respect to, well, the P5, P4, because there is no P5 anymore. This is going to be me flying very blind because as much as I knew everything with the SEC is going to be new because it's all under one tent now. They don't have the old appearance minimum or maximums that they might have had on CBS for a school. We just don't know how many games that each ESPN and Fox would take from the Big 12. We don't really know yet what Fox is going to do with respect to their larger share of Big Ten games. It appears that CBS and NBC will stay at a very, very fixed number, same with Peacock. So Fox, FS1, and BTN will probably get all these extra games that are coming in. But I really don't know. I mean, the whole idea of Big Ten after dark is now a thing. It's now a thing that has to be planned for. Same thing with Big 12 after dark. So everything is blue. Nearly everything is new.
Yeah, nearly everything is new. Rutgers is playing a conference game at 11 p.m. on a Friday.
Thank you, World Series.
Yes, safe to say, yes, everything is new. Thank you to Matt for coming in to try and help make sense of what is going to be a crazy and very exciting TV schedule this fall.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks again to Matt. I love talking to him. I love reading his site. I love talking to him. This is like real college football, nitty-gritty, minutia stuff This is stuff I may love this more than you do, and that's okay. But when you are asking us questions on the board, the Huddle board presented by Jeff Ruby Steakhouse at BuckeyeHuddle.com, and you're saying, please, I am going to the Ohio State at Oregon game. What time is that going to be? Is it going to be a night game? I need to plan my flights. We're checking Matt Sarz, because Matt Sarz is the ultimate authority on all of this stuff. Sometimes the answer is we don't have an answer yet. But if there is an answer to be had, Matt is the guy to have it. So thank you again to him. Make sure you check out MattSarzSports.com. It is a very, very minimalistic website with a ton of great information. Check out his blog as well. There's just a very small link. Just the word blog is highlighted and hyperlinked. Click on that, though. He goes through all of his game predictions, all that kind of stuff. And so make sure you check out Matt Sarz Sports, and make sure you check out BuckeyeHuddle.com as well. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.